Hello, 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 and welcome to Unique Leaders Live. It's all about you. And today we are going to be with my dear friend Karla Runner, and I am Megan DiMartino. And we're a few minutes late because this is a work in progress, guys. As I've shared with you, we're now filming out of my home, and today it's cloudy. It's so strange because we couldn't get the lighting correct. So that is what detained us a few minutes. So I just wanted to say hello and welcome to Unique Leaders Live. And I want to share a little bit about this show and why I do it and what we want to do for you. It is a show that really is all about my guest. It's all about their experience. Success is in the story, and everyone has a story. So what I want to do is get to the juicy stuff, to get into who this person is and find out about that person. So we have uncovered uncover is not the right word, people have shared so many interesting things that they have said to me, I've never shared that before, or I normally don't share that. And I certainly wouldn't share it on a Facebook live show. So it's really wild how, people are sharing their stories to help you. That's the other piece of this, is that in the fact that we all have stories, we don't just arrive at where we are and what we're doing currently. It all evolves from step by step by step. And at any juncture of that step, if you give up, you will not arrive. So it is about that too, that journey and seeing what they do and what has, today's word is pivot, but what evolution they have done to get to where they are. So with that said, I want to bring my guest in, Miss Karla Runner.
Hey, Megan.
Now, I also want to share with our guest, Karla, that StreamYard, who we're on, the platform that we're on, is having challenges. So that was the other dynamic. My own living room natural lighting, but also StreamYard is having some challenges. So folks, just bear with us and we will get through this, but with a fabulous, just sharing with Miss Karla Runner. So before you begin, Karla, I'd just like to give our guests a little background to you and I. And I didn't, as I shared with you in the green room, I didn't go into because I decided that I was going to do it with you. I'm going to get a little personal today because it is 9/11. As I shared, it's all about our guest. But because Karla and I have known each other for 20 plus years, and our journey is a very interesting Holy Spirit story. But this is not going to take away from Karla's story, but it is going to be woven into it. But on 9/11, we all have our own stories about it, where we were, how it affected us, and so forth. But my dear friend, Barbara Edwards, who I was a young mama with in Connecticut with all the yayas, and we brought up our kids and skied and tennis and all of that. And she was always game for something. She was a German immigrant, came to the United States at 12, and went to college and became a language teacher.
Wow.
Three young boys who grew up to be young men. But Barbara, when I started selling Tupperware, she goes, "Oh, Maggie, I'll do that." And she joined me. And then later, she was divorced and was unexpected in her life. And then when I started Glycolleak, she said to me, "I want to get involved." And so she was always game. And I could go on and on about my bubble of light friend, Barbara Edwards. But there are no accidents in life, Karla. And the fact that I invited you on for today, I had no correlation actually when, we did that. But it is so special to me, Karla, that you're here with me. Really, awesome. It really is. Awesome. So speaking of 9/11 and speaking of New York, you are an East Coast girl. So yes, so tell us where the beginnings began.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am a native Pittsburgher. My husband is a native Pittsburgher. My family hails from Pittsburgh, PA, and we're kind of proud of that. We are City of Champions. Of course, our sports teams need no introduction. 6-time Super Bowl champion, Pittsburgh Steelers. Win, lose, or tie, Steeler fans till we die. That kind of thing. We've had, Stanley Cup hockey team, and I mean, anyway, to be proud of. Pittsburgh is known to have started a lot of things in this nation. A lot of very famous people hail from Pittsburgh. Dale Carnegie, George Westinghouse. The list goes on and on.
And you're talking about the really foundation business in Renaissance.
Absolutely. Pioneers. Pittsburghers are pioneers. There's a pioneering spirit that is part of the fabric of what makes Pittsburgh the city that it is. It was known for its steel mills, for a very long time, until which time that industry took a major hit. And the city had to reinvent itself. And so I think that that's a lot of where we find ourselves right now.
Amen, sister. And
I hadn't even thought about that until I just said it, but we are in a season of reinvention.
Amen. When you said reinvention, I mean, that was the poignancy of that word. But I like that word evolve. We're always evolving, but that reinvention is absolute fact. So before we go to reinvention and where you are today and so forth, there's a big story in between. So as a young lady, let me back up. You are, as I, in the aesthetic world.
Yes, ma'am.
In the beauty creative world. And so you spoke about that fertilizer, that DNA of Pittsburgh, and that creativity, and that pioneer really spirit. Yes. Where did that come from, Karla, as a young gal? I'm talking about young, and where did that come from?
Where did the makeup or the beauty,
creative, yes.
the creativity? It came from my family. I come from a family of women who were very, very creative. Seamstresses and interior designers should have been, maybe didn't carry the credentials, but certainly my grandmother's home was picture perfect. I mean, straight out of Better Homes and Gardens, inside and out, my uncle, who was my great uncle, actually, who lived with my grandparents, he did contract work and hauling, for the universities, but he could do anything. He could build anything. He built my parents a home for their wedding gift.
Oh my gosh.
So the first house that I lived in was built by my uncle for my parents for their wedding gift. And there was not enough land that then when my uncle married my aunt, he built onto our house, turned it into a duplex, and they started their family there. So I have a set of cousins who are more like siblings to me because we all grew up basically in the same house, Wow. So that creativity, my mother sewed, she cooked, she was always put together. And regardless of budget, I can remember my mother sewing formal attire because my father's company had a formal affair every year around the holidays. And so my mother had need to be, gowned up, glammed up. And I can remember there used to be a product called shoe makeup, and she would go and get that stuff and redo a pair of shoes, change color, add glitter, or, add sequins or a jeweled bow or, something to update those shoes. She may remake an outfit. So that creativity, and that ability to see something in its raw, rough state and see its potential, I think was ingrained in me genetically.
That's a visionary. That really is that seed of visionary. Yes.
It absolutely, absolutely is. And so between that being a part of my nature, where people were concerned, I was the kid that had the friends that maybe nobody else wanted as friends, because I knew there was something good, intrinsically good in every single creation of God. And so you might have been a diamond in the rough, but doggone it, I was going to help dust you off and polish you up if it killed me, you know.
But that is also that, not only that creativity, but also that mentoring and training spirit that you do in your career as a makeup artist, an esthetician, a business owner, a team builder, as you have done over these years. So like so from the diamond in the rough and building that, whomever, and building, friendships and that. So did you stay in the Pittsburgh area through high school?
I was there through high school, and I actually started beauty school right out of high school. But I was a beauty school dropout because at that time you had to be a licensed cosmetologist to work at the makeup counters in the department store.
They don't realize that at all. No.
I mean, who knew that's long gone, and but and that was my dream job, because Meg, there was nothing I loved more in the world than makeup. Nothing. I used to lock myself in the bathroom with my mother's little train case. And you remember those little bitty Avon lipstick samples?
I love them.
How could those have been for grown-ups? Those were for me. They were babies. They were babies. They were for me. And so, I loved the way makeup smelled. I loved everything about it. I just thought it was like the most magical thing in the world. And I loved to watch my mother put on makeup. And so where she would smack my hands for playing in her makeup, when I would go to my grandmother's house, which we all lived within walking distance of one another. So I could go to my grandmother's on a regular basis. My grandmother had this beautiful vanity with all her nail polishes and her lipstick and her eyebrow pencil and everything, just all arranged so beautifully, and, fresh flowers. And it was the most magical place in the world. Was my grandmother's vanity,
right?
Yeah.
It was like Hollywood.
Yeah, it was. And she would not only let me play in her makeup, but she would sit there and let me put it on her. So she encouraged my gift at a very young age, brave woman that she was. Here's this 5-year-old putting your lipstick on for you, but she encouraged my gift. And
wonderful to have that encouragement.
Yes.
And that's what a part of your spirit is again, you got that from your grandmother.
Absolutely.
That encouraging spirit. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that came at an early age. My love for all things beauty, whether it be, home decor or clothing, fashion, or aesthetic beauty, hair, makeup. Now, I didn't want to do hair.
Right.
I had zero interest in doing hair. So when I went to beauty school right out of high school, used to be Pittsburgh Beauty Academy. I couldn't wait. I was so excited. And every single day that I was there, I kept asking, when are we going to get to the part about makeup? When are we going to get to the part about makeup? See, because we were learning pin curls and old roller sets and waves and perms, all that stuff, sculptured nails. I mean, I had zero interest in any of that stuff. And I was just worn out every day. I hated it. And every day I asked, when do we get to the part about makeup? They were so tired of hearing me ask. They would just tell me at the beginning of the day every day, Ms. Hurst, we will get to the part about makeup when we reach, something like 800 hours. And it was like, I had maybe 23 hours in at that point. I was gonna die. And
so, that bubble.
Yeah. So a friend said, have you ever thought about just being a freelance makeup artist. Well, I'd never heard that terminology. I had no idea what that even meant. I was like, what does that mean? They said, well, you won't have a license. You won't be able to work in the store, but you'll be able to do makeup and make money.
Mm.
And I was like, you know,
Yeah.
sounded good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as fate would have it, my older sister, was 6 years older than me. She had friends who were models in the city. They had a modeling group. I got to do some makeup for one of their fashion shows. Pro bono, of course, you know, for exposure. And so it just started to get around.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had a dear friend who's like a sister, you know, member of our family, who had a couture leather clothing line. And she was doing this big fashion show. And she hired little 17-year-old me to do the makeup for this show. And there were notable models who were, you know, part of her entourage for this fashion show, people whose faces I saw gracing magazines and, you know, and such. And it was my first paid gig. Wow. So she turned me pro. And I will forever, ever remember that. And it just spun out from there.
You know, I just want to point out to our viewers that point, because I'll never forget, Karla, the first time I had to write a bio when I started as Karla Glycolique. And I'm like, a bio? What have I done? You know?
Right.
And so I sat there, but I had worked for, you know, 2 companies, you know, prior. So I had a lot of sales and marketing experience. Mm-hmm. But from my own perception, what did I do? So when I started writing it down and I looked at it, I said, wow, I did more than I thought. Yeah. So that's why what you just shared is such an important piece to our guests, because you just have to start. You have to identify that what's in your heart, and then start. Because if you don't start, that this would not have been part of your story.
That's absolutely right. You know, and sometimes you have to do it afraid. Absolutely. You know?
And a lot of times do it afraid.
Most of the time you have to do it afraid. And every time you restart, mm-hmm. or shift gears, right. to evolve. Right. You know,
because I think that point right there is also a very important word that we should keep in this, because of that reinvention. And we're talking about right now, because it really isn't starting over. It's just shifting gears.
It is.
But taking with it all of your background of your love.
That's right.
On keeping on.
So. And all of your experiences, the hiccups, the failures, you know, back in my days of selling Mary Kay, I can remember one of her quotes being, "You fail forward to success."
Mm-hmm. Amen.
You know, as long as you don't stay down when you fall down, or stop. Get up, dust yourself off, and get back in the race. You know?
Absolutely.
You keep on going.
So this was in Pittsburgh, though, when you did this fashion show.
Yes, that was in Pittsburgh. Okay. And very shortly thereafter, my mother was enticed by her brother, who lived in beautiful, sunny San Diego, California, to pack up and move to San Diego. And I thought I was grown at that point in time. I was in love and engaged in all of this. And so my mother packed up my younger brother and sister and moved to San Diego and left me in Pittsburgh.
Oh.
Yeah. I was an adult. So I thought, you know, by age anyway, and living on my own. And when that went south, by that time my mother had done her homework and found that out there at the cosmetology schools, they had a program called aesthetics, and it was all about skin and makeup. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have to do hair and nails. And so it was the perfect enticement to move to California, which I did. I went to San Diego, California, I enrolled in beauty school, went to Duluth School of Cosmetology as an aesthetics student, and it just opened up a whole new world for me. I didn't know anything about the skin. And so now I had a new love, you know.
Yes.
And it evolved from there. Went on, did more makeup training, got credentials, and all that kind of stuff. But
I just want to stop you for a sec, because I hear this question all the time. I'm sure you do. People perceive, and it's changed a lot over the last, let's say, decade, but makeup is not skincare. Makeup is glamour.
mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, I knew nothing about the skin. So you went
Mm-hmm.
into the program and learned all about then the aesthetic or the skin structure, physiology.
Mm-hmm.
That way, we as estheticians can help people with their challenges or, age management and the like.
Right.
And the glamour is the icing on the cake.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I learned to love the skin. I learned how to care for it. I learned, I was really blessed that I had some unique instructors. I had my aesthetics instructor who was from Malaysia and brought with her, all of these different massage techniques and natural ingredients, kitchen facials, if you will, things you can make from natural, almost food sources, to care for the skin with natural ingredients. And so she brought all of these wonderful things that we would not have learned aside from, her having her background from another nation.
Extraordinary, because it
was wonderful.
Opened your eyes to, I don't want to say manufacturing, but how products were put together.
Exactly.
I mean, I just want to stop and say hello to some of our guests who have joined us.
Yes.
Okay. And
Sure.
so Ronald Comey and Ron, hi, good to see you. I'm so glad you were able to come on today. Nick Austin, you remember Nick, Karla, from that you said you wanted to put her in your pocket. Dennis K, Diana Francis, Robert Cardosi, good to see you, Robert. Charles Foreman, hello, sir. Randy Hell, and Nellie J. Good to see you all today. Hope you're enjoying Karla and I sharing all things beauty and evolution and next steps. So you're finished. You finished, and you're now in San Diego.
Now in San Diego, of course, started off in a hair salon that I think probably right about the time that I came out of school, beauty school, it was when the salon / spa concept was really starting to become a thing, And
so this lady was in California. And, here I was in Texas. I got my license in 1992 and 91, finished in 92. And it was 250 hours, Karla.
And wow.
An instructor.
Wow.
Okay. And so where Karla was, that was, the hotbed of that whole genre was beginning. Yes. For sure.
It was, and it was quite an adventure. I started, like I say, in a hair salon, who had taken a room that they had intended to use for storage and turned it into a facial room, bought some products, bought makeup that was a part of their skincare line. And it was decent products, stuff that I enjoyed working with. And but it was challenging because it was a hair salon. People didn't come have facials. They weren't accustomed to that concept. So I had to learn to mix and mingle and market myself and market my services and invite people into my room and, do a little treatment on their hands to introduce them to what skincare felt like, smelled like, the difference it made from one hand that had the treatment to the one that didn't. We know. And so you know. So it was interesting and challenging. I then enrolled in a makeup artistry course that was being taught at a John Casablancas model center there, that, you know, they're connected to the Elite Models, one of the largest, you know, modeling agencies in the world. Some of the most famous supermodels, you know, are part of the Elite family. And so they had a very unique makeup artistry program there that was actually being taught by an African-American woman. That was just so novel. And of course, her students didn't typically look like me, and I wasn't used to seeing instructors that looked like me. So we instantly connected. You know, when she saw me, she was like, "Oh, please come take my class." You know, she was phenomenal. From her, I learned to custom blend foundations, and that was where that began for me. I learned how to mix foundations from undertones and up, you know, using greens and blues and yellows and purples and, you know, things that you would not look at and think this is going to come together and look like skin. However, it does, you know, as our skin from person to person have different undertones, it takes those combinations of things to make what looks like us.
And one palette is not all the same either.
No. So very interesting, because, you know, heretofore, of course, there weren't a lot of colors in foundations and things for women of color.
Right.
You had either the very dark or the very light. And I was used to custom blending on the back of my hand, mixing a little dab of this and a little dab of that to match clients, you know, when I was doing makeup. And I think at that point, I shifted salons. I left the one where I was.
Where you were in the room that was.
Where I was in the one little room. And that one was real close to my house. But I was introduced to these salons that were connected to the owner of the John Casablancas Model Center. And it was in a predominantly just a very eclectic area of town. Very eclectic area of town. And there again was a salon, a hair salon, but next door they had a building where they had two ladies who did, I forget what line of products it was, but they did the color draping, you know, the seasons.
Yes, yes.
So they did that, and they had makeup, and so they would do people's makeup according to the colors that they draped them in and everything. So they did more like an image consulting type of thing. But there were rooms in that building, and the building was owned by the hair salon, but it was just next door across an alleyway. And but there were rooms over there that could be turned into service rooms, and so treatment rooms rather. And so my dear friend, Randy Swan, who went through beauty school with me, who we're still buddies like that. He and I took over those two empty rooms and turned it into, you know, the skincare and beauty.
Now, what year would that have been?
Oh, wow. 80.
So really early on.
283.
Yeah, so that shows really the progressiveness of California and the mindset, but also, as you shared, the connection with the movie industry and the, you know, that. And that was a great blessing and training for you. Great training.
It was wonderful.
Yes.
And they were a design studio for a line of hair care products. So they did platform work at the hair shows, you know, so I got to accompany them and do the makeup. You know, they were on platform doing hair. I would do their models' makeup. Me and another young man named Raul, you know, we did their fashion shows and all that kind of stuff. So it was always something happening there. It was a busy place.
That if anyone who's watching, and I was talking to Ron, who I said hello to earlier, about what we're talking about, Karla, how it's not easy to move from school to what you're explaining, because or sharing, because in like you're in Little Rock, and we'll get there in a little bit, but the thing is that education is a challenge, and you
Mm,
have to then be mentored. And what you
yes.
experienced is unusual. So, if any of you who are on have a daughter or son who are interested in this industry, please share this out to them, because this is really the foundation of what these people need to hear and know.
It really is.
We are pioneers in this.
Yes.
We are truly pioneers
For
in this.
sure. Gurus,
Okay.
if
So
you
you
will.
so you finished, oh, not finished, but you were there,
Hmm.
and then
San Diego. Worked there until I married, I think, and kind of, I married military, and
Mhm.
so we were very shortly thereafter, transferred,
Mhm.
um, and we were transferred to Texas, but we were in a part of Texas where there was nothing.
Nothing. So you went from Glamourville to Desertville.
Woo! I mean, 103-degree afternoons. I can remember planting flowers in my little front yard, and it was so cute. And one day it was there, and the next day it looked like somebody had poured hot grease on it, and it was just the sun. It was miserably hot. It was very almost rural. We were by a military base. They had an outlet mall, excuse me, that had just opened. It was like the biggest thing. I can remember calling their Chamber of Commerce before we moved there to try to get a welcome packet sent so that we could understand what the schools were going to be like and what, the atmosphere was going to be like. And I remember talking to the lady on the phone, and she was bragging about the fact that they now had a movie theater with 2 screens. I was like,
Uh-oh.
where are you taking me?
I'm in trouble.
We were in San Diego. We had, 15 screens in the movie theater. So 2 screens, and she was thrilled about it. It was a place where you went to Walmart and walked around for entertainment because there just wasn't much. And honestly, between the outlet mall and Walmart, excuse me, all the other little small businesses, mom and pop kind of places sort of dried up and went away,
Yeah, for
which
sure.
was sad.
It's like
But
that movie, the Texas movie show or whatever it was,
yeah.
Shepherd, and
Mm-hmm.
the weeds were rolling down the street. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. It was pretty much that way.
So hopefully you weren't there very long.
We weren't there very long. As a matter of fact, he went back to sea duty, which sailors don't do voluntarily, but just so we could get out of there. He volunteered to go back on the aircraft carrier and go back to sea, because it was so desolate.
Mhm.
It was south of Corpus Christi,
Okay.
and just nothingness,
Mhm.
nothingness. So yeah, so I got out of the aesthetics business for a while because there wasn't anything there. And then when we moved to Arkansas, when I first got here, I saw no evidence of of there being estheticians. And so I went to work in a bank, became a banker. And because I could count money, and I could count money fast, I thought this would be a piece of cake. So I enjoyed it because of the people,
Yes.
The constant flow of customer contact. And I'm a fast learner. Whatever you put before me, I'm going to find,
You'll
how
figure it out. You'll
I'm
figure
going
it
to master it,
out.
and I'll be good at it, even if I don't like it. And so banking was really all about the people for me, not so much the actual
Right.
business of it.
Yes.
But in the midst of all of that, I found that I had to get back to my roots. I had to get back to my creative outlet. I needed something to do creatively. And so I went to work part-time at a grocery store in the floral department, because at least that was creative. But I missed makeup. I missed makeup. And so I started getting my hair done by a young lady who, of course, we built rapport, as you do with your stylist, you know, and I told her I was an esthetician, and she was like, why are you not doing that? I was like, do they have estheticians here? She was like, of course they do. Well, where are they? She said, well, they're kind of here and there, but you could come work here. And I thought, okay. So I thankfully pursued getting my reciprocal license in the nick of time. I was just months from the statute of limitations where I would have had to go back to school.
Oh, really? In Arkansas?
Start all over. California gave me 5 years to get a reciprocal license elsewhere, or your license would, you know, dry up and blow away like it never existed. And so just in the nick of time, I had to take the practical portion. But the hours were comparable. It was 600 hours to become an esthetician in San Diego. It was the same in Arkansas. So I didn't have to do any schooling, any book work to make up hours. All I had to do was demonstrate that I still knew my stuff, you know. So I scheduled to take the the practical, and I was all fumble fingers and dropping stuff. You know, when in doubt, sanitize your hands. You know?
Ron, you're still on. That is the essence of the boards. Sanitize. Now, when I look at one of those hand sanitizers today, that goes back to my memory.
Oh my gosh, yes, still. And so, but I made it through that and passed and got my Arkansas license and went to work. Very shortly thereafter, there was actually an ad in a Sunday paper that someone was looking for an esthetician, a hair salon that had a little room that they had created, and they let me come in and repaint it and decorate it and play my worship music in there. And
you were just a happy girl.
I was a happy girl. And the rest is history.
So let's and so before we go on to the Lash Queen, the thread of all of that, folks, is again, begin, build, and sustain, meaning that you had that heart for this, and you never you obviously, as your background shares, you didn't just do, even though in Pittsburgh you became a freelance. But again, it was honing your craft. That's really what it was doing. And you were learning your skills and then building those skills. And of course, then got the appropriate licensing to do that. And so in 2004, I do believe, so it was a little bit after 9/11, I met you. But from the position of pivoting, evolving into lashes, from just, I don't mean just, but meaning from skincare to lash extensions. Share that evolution. How did that happen for you?
Well, when I began doing, now this wasn't when we met, because I met you at that hair show. This was when we reconnected. When I started doing the lash, actually, I was training. I was doing lash trainings at my fledgling years of teaching lashes. I had been doing the individual lashes. Lashes were becoming a thing. I opened my spa in 2003.
Okay.
So it was probably 2004.
Yes,
you know, when it was really starting to become a thing, you know, even more so to wear lashes. And so I was doing the individual lashes, the flares or tabs or whatever your area calls them. And I was calling them eyelash extensions because I thought it sounded cute, because hair extensions had become such a thing. So I thought, well, this is just the same kind of thing, except it's on your eye. So let's just call these eyelash extensions. Well, my pastor at the time were a couple, and she had been to Houston, Texas to a women's conference. And Houston, of course, was the mecca
I was going to say
for,
mecca of eyelash extension.
for eyelash extensions in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And so the pastor's wife there, co-pastor,
Mm-hmm.
had them on. And so Dr. Jennifer saw them and she told her about them. So when she came back, she contacted me and she said, do you know there really is something called eyelash extensions? They put them on one hair at a time. You need to look into that. And so, of course, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Houston, trained, spent a little money, invested in myself, got the training, got the kit, came back. Only person in the state of Arkansas that I could find, that was doing them, did all my little market research and, figured out what I was going to charge for, all that good stuff, and she actually was my very, very first guinea pig. I went to her home. She laid on the couch, put her head on the armrest. I pulled up a chair and, she just decided they were not for her because she was too busy to really do that upkeep. Mm-hmm. And she had good lashes, and so she was like, I can get my lashes to look like this with mascara. So, mm-hmm. I don't need to do this, which was true. She is beautiful. And so I decided I would offer a special and start the ball rolling, which I did. And my very first client is yet my client today, all these years later, still has all her own eyelashes too, by the way, but she's been wearing them all these years.
Wow. That's called client retention.
Client retention. I'm the queen of client retention.
That's your book, girl.
Yes.
Yes. So in 2004, you mm-hmm. came to State Beauty Supply, their show in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And I had a booth there at that show because I was selling the Novitas Spa clinical products through mm-hmm. State Beauty Supply, one of the distributors. And I met Karla and her colleague mm-hmm. on Sunday. Shows were generally Sunday, Monday, because salons are generally closed Mondays. So the Sunday show was always busier. Mm-hmm. And she and her colleague came by the booth and we were chatting. And the thing about working with a distributor is you are there to market for them and sell for them, but you don't exchange money with mm-hmm. them because they don't want you to have the database of the individual who's purchasing from you. Now, it doesn't mean you might not exchange business cards or the like, but generally speaking, it's more that education exchange. Mm-hmm. And so, but we had that exchange on the Sunday, and then Monday, it was much quieter. And lo and behold, Miss Karla, who's a little bit shorter than I, she's very petite, lovely lady. And she comes up and said, you said,
this is the wildest story that anybody
well, that's why we're only telling you guys, honestly, this is really a deviation from the thread of All About You, but right. I want to show the serendipity of God.
Yes, absolutely.
He had, like Jeremiah 29:11, knows the plans.
He knows the plans because there's an expected end. There's an expected end. And so when we came in Sunday, we actually came, now this is a hair show primarily. Mm-hmm. So we knew there may be some spa products, but mm-hmm. probably not a lot. And my colleague that was with me owned a salon for a number of years, but she had just acquired a salon and spa. And so she was looking for spa products. Of course, I was a spa owner. I was looking for products. Mm-hmm. And we come in, we meet Megan, we see the products, and I just got this feeling, and it might have been one of the names of one of the products, or maybe a couple of the names of the products that kind of made me think, I bet she's a believer. you know. And so, but we liked her. She was very sweet and very professional, and the products looked good. And so we decided we'd get them, and but we'll be back tomorrow to pick them up. And so that night we're in the hotel and we're asleep, and in the middle of the night I wake up with this burden to pray for this lady who we met at this skincare booth. Well, before we were preparing to go to the show, after our showers and everything, my friend and I were having coffee, and she was doing my hair because she was a stylist. She was doing my hair, and we were talking, and she said, it's the strangest thing. In the middle of the night, I felt like God woke me up and asked me to pray for that Megan lady. And I was like, he woke me up and had me pray for her. So we look at each other and we're like, all right, let's hurry up and get over there. So we make a beeline. We make a beeline for her booth, When we get there, we're like, what's going on with this lady? Why is God making us, waking us up to pray for her? And so, she's being her usual cordial, professional self and greeting us and everything. And I was kind of like, okay, so are you a believer? And she was like, yes. And I felt like you were too. And I don't remember what exactly transpired between that statement and the next. I believe I had a word from the Lord for her, but she came out from behind her table out into the aisle. And if you've ever been to a hair show, it's not your prayer venue,
Adam and Gomorrah look,
There was some crazy avant-garde styling thing going on a platform like right to our left, and people dancing and gyrating, and some bald-headed guy, and he's dancing in leather clothes, and and the women are scantily dressed, being modeling, and loud music everywhere.
It's not church.
Not church, not your prayer venue. No. And all I know is I end up praying for her. Like she said, I'm shorter than she is, so she's kind of like draped over my shoulder. And I'm embracing her and praying, and my friend is probably standing somewhere close by, and she's probably praying too. But at one point, I open my eyes and I look, and there's this little lady standing behind her with her hands on her back. And she is just praying like crazy. And she's dressed all in white and gold. And we all had lanyards with our names on them and the name of our salon. And her name was Johnny Carson. And the name of her salon was Here's Johnny. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And when I finished praying, I looked at her like,
around.
Where did you come from and who are you? Well, I get it, you're Johnny Carson, but she said, I've been retired for 10 years. She said, but I keep my license current because I go to hair shows and pray. I just walk around and I pray. She said, and I was 3 aisles over. She said, and I was drawn like a moth to a flame. I just felt like Holy Spirit just picked me up and dropped me over here. She said, and I saw you praying for that lady. I just made a beeline.
You can't
make this stuff up.
You can't make it up. No, you cannot make it up. So this, we don't really keep in touch, which is the crazy part to me. And I haven't forgotten this at all. I mean, it was really a very impactful moment because I recognized how special that was for me. Yes. That God spoke to these two women independently, and then Johnny Carson there, I'm making a beeline over. So,
I mean,
there was always a lot going on, so I could dissect it, and it's pointless. It's not about me. But what I will share is that then in 2007, I had moved down to Georgetown, Texas, outside of Austin already. And like Karla said, by myself, pioneered this business and doing the two hands, showing them product on one. With my products, Novitas Spa Clinicals, and doing facials and all that. and then started the first little spa, and then it was then going into the larger spa,
Yep.
and which we're in today. And there's a lovely retail boutique. And I wanted to go to market and see if there were some cool things to have in this other than my skincare products. And so my husband, Paul, and I went up to Dallas to market. And, you know, there was a big tent, but also in Market Hall. And in the hallway of Market Hall, there were also vendors. So it was chock full of vendors. I mean, so the fact that I met this guy that's the other piece. So I was looking for some really cool greeting cards, because people would walk in and say, do you have a card to give with my gift? You know, the gift card. And so I said, I really want to find some unique cards. So I was making a right. And I remember Paul saying, hey, honey, there's a booth over here, you know. And so I came back and we walked over. This young man was in the middle of the hall, and we started talking. Anyway, make a long story short, he has a girlfriend who's also a rep of gifts, and she lives in San Antonio. And he said, I'm going to be down soon. Why don't we both come to Georgetown? I said, great, come on over. So they come, and they're delightful. And we're, talking about what they carry. And I bought some stuff. And then a day or two, I get a message on my phone from this lady. And the girlfriend, Kim, is it Kim?
Kim. Mm-hmm.
She and Karla had become buddies. Hello?
No, I had just met her. I didn't even know her.
But what I'm saying, though, is here is this guy in Dallas, Texas, his girlfriend. How do I know that Karla is even in their lives?
Well, he was Edwina's son.
Oh, so this is her best friend in Arkansas. This is her.
Worked at my spa with me.
So now share how that evolved. So
this is so crazy.
So she's doing eyelash extensions. Karla.
Doing eyelash extensions, teaching eyelash extensions. The young man, David, was the son of one of my dearest friends here in Arkansas, who worked with me at my spa. And she was coming to visit Kim and David in San Antonio. And she was just determined that she was going to drum me up some classes while she was in Texas. So I need you to make me folders, give me information. So I made her packets of information to take with her. And so, of course, she's picking Kim's brains because, you know, they deal with salons. Kim sold candles and stuff. And so there were a number of salons that she sold these sundry items to. And Kim said, we just met this really nice lady in Georgetown, and I bet she might be interested in doing a lash class. She seems like that would be the kind of place that would offer that. Let me get her card. And so I only had one conversation with Kim in life, and this was the conversation. And she says, oh, here it is. Here it is. The name of the place is Novita Spa on the square. And I was like, Novita Spa sounds like those products I used to carry. And she said, and the lady's name is Megan. And I said, DiMartino. Why did I even remember your last name? I don't know. But I was like, oh my gosh. She said, so here's her, would you like her phone number? She said, I think this is her cell. I was like, yeah, give me that number. And so I call, I get her voicemail, and I say, you may not remember me by name, but surely you will remember this instance. I prayed for you one time at a hair show in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So when she called me back, she was literally like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. And she said, I'm in the Austin, Texas area. Georgetown is near Austin. I said, I'm going to be in Austin this weekend. She said, can you change your plans and stay a day or two? Now, truly, the rest is history now, but oh my goodness. Serendipity.
That's so, guys. We've covered a lot of ground, and not just in Karla's life, but of you know that hope and possibilities just over the horizon. Never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams, to
Yes.
reinvent yourself. But you have to do your homework. You have to begin. You have to build, and then sustain. And then God is in it all. You
Hmm.
think He's not, make no mistake, but you have to get out of the way and let Him in.
Absolutely.
Karla is a ordained minister. Um, she is the regional director. That might not be the right term.
That is
Title, okay, of
mhm.
the Deborah Project, the Deborah
Deborah's network.
network, and all of that will be in the bio area. But it is already, in her bio. But there's a lot of meat. She'll be back, and we can talk about that during the pandemic or
Mm.
the lockdown. Let's just call it that. She was introduced to Tori Bell eyelash, magnetic lashes, because again, who could get out of their home? No one. And people like her loyal clients, 2 months, lashes are gone. And so there's always that evolution. There's always that
Mhm.
reinventing, and it
Mhm.
always is in God's timing. It's
Absolutely.
always. But that story is, to me, is the key to faith. To
Yeah.
know that, because faith is about the substance of things hoped for
Hmm.
and the evidence of things not yet seen.
Hmm.
So you have to hope, you have to have that dream, goal, and desire, but then begin and don't stop. But
That's right.
Karla and I have traveled to Europe. We've ministered in Ireland.
Ireland
You
in
know,
freezing cold weather,
we've
hard
been.
chicken, and
I mean, our story is long. This is kind of
or we
scratching
can
the
tell
surface.
stories.
But we should tell this. We went to this conference. It was New Year's Eve weekend of 2009, going into 10.
Mhm.
And the first day of the conference, there was a dinner, and we go up to the dining room, and it wasn't Karla X and Megan X. It was the Novitzo sisters.
They somehow mixed up DiMartino and Novita and renamed her
Right.
Megan Novizzo.
So we named ourselves the Novitzo
The
sisters.
Novizzo
Yes.
sisters.
Yes. Right. So, as I said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I mean, this is a little crazy, but really the thread of it all. But I end with always, Karla, um, the book 3 Feet from Gold. I did
Mhm.
ask you this before, but it is, I love Sharon Lecter's success formula. It is your passion plus talent times association
Mhm.
times action. So,
Yes.
okay, if you think about it, we've talked about that throughout this, plus faith
Mhm.
equals success.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask you, what is your passion? Not the whole success formula, but what
Right.
is your passion, Karla, and what is your talent?
I think that my passion, first and foremost, is to see people, especially women, come in touch with their true identity. I think so many miss the mark because they're guided by all these voices and all these signposts pointing them in certain directions that look like success, but true success is only found in your purpose. You have to be connected to your God created purpose. And so I love to help people find that. I think I have um not just a talent for it, but an anointing for it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then um, my talent, beyond being able to see
Mm-hmm.
the beauty in everything that I look at,
Mm-hmm.
whether, like I say, whether it's clothing or makeup or a person's hair or you know, your surroundings. I have an ability to see the
Mm-hmm.
potential and then help bring it to pass.
And that potential of that person, like you spoke about when you were a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and the misfit, as you said, and
Yeah.
to make them feel accepted and loved.
My mother used to say I brought home strays. You're always bringing home strays, But yeah,
you
that was
cannot have
me.
an empathetic heart without that.
That's it.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's my gift.
Well, lovely, lovely, lovely. And I thank you for joining me today. And again, like our Tulsa story, like our Austin story, like every other piece, there are no accidents in life, folks. And just be open to them and but as Karla is sharing, your passion, your purpose, and your talent, they all meld together. And work to identify those. And we are here for you. Karla, as I said, has a wonderful platform that we're a ministry that works with women, and through it's just wonderful. And so we're going to be doing some things together with this. We've been talking about this for a long time. Now there's a structure, and we're going to be working on that.
Yes, I'm excited.
We would have been further along had we not been, locked into our homes. But with that said, we got a lot accomplished anyway. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Idle hands, we did not do. No. Did anyone else join us? No. Okay. So this will be on replay, and so please do share it out. We would truly, truly appreciate it. Well, Karla, thank you, my love. If you would hang out in the green room for a minute, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you all for joining us. And I know people have come and gone. And again, for those, thank you so much for joining us. But please do share this out. This will be on my Facebook pages, Megan DiMartino, as well as the official Megan DiMartino. It will be on YouTube. So you can find us there at the Megan DiMartino channel. And but do share it out, because there's so many nuggets that were shared today. I did get a little more personal and interactive with our guest about our stories, because our stories entwined. But it was a very appropriate day today. And as I said, when I asked Karla to be on, and this day worked for both she and I, this Friday, the 11th, I really didn't put it together. But with that said, there are no accidents, just as we've been talking about. So if you would be so kind to, if you're not a friend on the official business page, the official Megan DiMartino, I would so appreciate you doing that, because we're building that. And then, the other page is my personal page, which I've had for many years. And we're building this out as a business page, and we're going to be building some groups and things like that, but it will be on the business page. So if you would friend me on that page, that would be fabulous. And then also share this out, because this is a segment that I really do know that many people, not just in the beauty industry, honestly, but people that have a desire to build a business, this is a really good segment, because both Karla and I are entrepreneurs, and we followed our dreams and then put those together and started and built, and then just stayed with it. So begin and don't stop. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. And Monday is Motivation Monday, and we'll see you then at 4 p.m. Be blessed.